Hey there. Guess what? You know what? I am so thrilled. Do you know why? So over this last little while, probably started about last year and certainly for this year as well, we've seen more and more and more awareness occurring about people understanding our language, about sign language and the rights of the use of sign language, and about deaf people and the things that deaf people are capable of doing. And this is having huge effects on individuals, and it's those individuals who are bringing this to light who are, catching our attention. However, if you also recall that, yes, those individuals, those celebrities, if you will, or those famous deaf individuals are very important. However, we also have some other very important people, some local people. And so I thought I'd take this opportunity to take the spotlight and point it on our fellow Canadians. One in particular is Brenda Lussier. And you may be thinking, and who is she? Well, she's a born and bred deaf individual, uses sign language, and her dream is to swim across Lake Ontario. Let me backtrack a bit. She grew up doing competitive swimming, and I think it was about when her high school coach suggested to her that she try marathon swimming, which she took that idea, and she's been doing that for the last little while. But now she set a goal for herself to do a silent swim. Now, you may think that crossing Lake Ontario might be an easy thing to do, but it is not. It is incredibly, incredibly difficult. Lake Ontario is known for being one of the most challenging lakes to swim across. So to swim across it requires, more than 20 hours of your time. 1/3 of the swim is done in complete darkness of night in order to make it successfully across the lake. So she wants to do this because she wants to be the first deaf person ever to cross Lake Ontario. I think it was back in 1994. There was a woman by the name of Marlene Bell. She was the first person to swim across Lake Ontario. And now we're in 2016. There's only a handful of individuals. In fact, I believe it's about 61 people who have made it across Lake Ontario. So yeah, it is challenging. It is cold. It is far. It's got a very strong current to it. Brenda, the first time she made the attempt to swim across the lake was back in 2009. And at that time, she just wasn't able to complete the swim. And the reason was they had 8-foot waves that day. It was incredible. This bad storm was coming in. There was a lot of thunder, and just the risk was too great. And unfortunately, she had to postpone. The second time was in 2015, and she swam across the lake. She'd already done 52 kilometers of the swim. She was so almost there. She only had 5 kilometers left. But those last 5 kilometers were right there by the Toronto Harbor, where the currents are incredibly challenging, and she fought against them, but unfortunately wasn't able to do it. She'd also suffered a shoulder injury too, so she came to the decision that she had to stop. But now she's going for her 3rd attempt. She wants to do this on her 3rd attempt, and she's basically trying to raise money to support her swim at this point. As a deaf swimmer, this means that swimming the lake is a challenge, of course, but as a deaf individual, it's doubly challenging because as you swim across the lake, of course, you need a team, you need a crew of people who are going to be there to support you and take care of you. So they're on the boat beside you as you do the swim. But for this person to be deaf, which means they not only need their hands for signing, but they also need them to swim. So this is challenging. Of course, anybody who's not deaf trying to do the swim, can listen to the people on the crew, can talk to the crew as they need. But for her, this is going to be challenging because she needs her hands to swim as well as to talk. And American Sign Language being what it is, means she needs to be able to use her eyes to look at the crew. And that's going to be very draining on her too. So that's an additional challenge. and the crew themselves, her coach and the other individuals on the boat. They need sign language interpreters to be present to help facilitate the communication. And of course, we're also talking about part of the swim happening in the middle of the night. And the boat has to then, of course, have lights. It has to have lights and, say, glow sticks that can, illuminate a little bit. We need to have flashing lights going on, make sure that she can be seen so that she knows where to follow the boat as it leads the path. And, of course, it also means the boat itself, being deaf again, means we need more light in order to communicate as well. Again, something that non-deaf swimmers wouldn't have an issue with, but is much more of a challenge for deaf swimmers. And because as you do the swim and you need to have people there to support you. And again, when you're feeling really tired, you've got this crew of people who can support you, who really lead you on. Well, again, as a deaf individual, you've got to be strong. You've got to have that internal strength as well, because you can't always look at your crew to get that kind of extra strength and motivation. So those are a number of challenges. And of course, the crew themselves, there will be some individuals who are deaf, and that's okay, to make sure that she's doing all right. And so it will be a mix of deaf and non-deaf individuals working together, which is amazing. Brenda's goal, of course, is to be the first deaf person to swim across Lake Ontario. And that means, though, that that's an important piece. But she's also got another cause, another reason for doing this. She's trying to raise $50,000. And if she's successful in doing that, she's going to donate that money to the Canadian Cystic Fibrosis Foundation. And she's doing that because her brother suffers from cystic fibrosis, and she wants to support the organization. So I'm asking all of you, this is someone from our own country. This is a fellow Canadian. This is somebody from our community. We need to shine that light brightly on her and support her in this endeavor. So, and not to mention, it doesn't matter where you're from. If you're from the United States, if you're from somewhere else in the world, it's important because this is part of our deaf community. This is another fellow deaf person. She is one of our heroes. She has totally inspired me, and I hope that she's successful this year. Come on, baby, you can do it.